Hi, welcome to my first day working as a pastry chef. Okay, technically this wasn't like my first official real day, so you'll see that I actually get up to a lot of shenanigans instead of actual cooking and work. So as you guys know, I am in college, but I decided that I would also pick up this part-time job working in a restaurant. So the restaurant was doing a little catering event, so I chopped up some vegetables for a crudité platter. Then again, since this wasn't actually my work day, chef had us do a family meal. So I cooked some rice and we made some short ribs and some other things for that dinner. And so next I actually did some pastry work, so I made some creme brulees, put them in their little water bath, and then they baked in the oven and left them in the fridge to cool. And then shout out to Ty who taught us how to make pizza. The restaurant serves amazing pizza and we got a little snacky before we went home. I'm still adjusting to my new schedule, so I was actually so exhausted. I literally did not do work and just went to bed. Good night.
Hi.
Day in my life working as a pastry chef.
Okay, so I was not in a good mood when I recorded that intro, because today kind of went south in a few ways. One, I had to waste like $15 on an Uber to work, but that's a story for another time. But before we mess up more at work today, we're just working with some bread before service starts. So I made some focaccia as well as rolled some dough balls. Then I worked on the blood orange creme brulees for service, which kind of split. So yeah, I messed that up and we had to throw it all out, but we move along. And so now I'm working on the honey semifreddo. So I started by whisking a giant bowl of eggs over the stovetop to temper them and make them light and fluffy, incorporating the whipped cream. And then I did some more prep work. I cut all of our stale bread up into cubes because we use them to make breadcrumbs. I made 40 quarts of bread cubes. Had some caffeine, did a little bit of service where I, made some more quenelles, and then I clocked out and went home for the day. Did I do homework? The answer is very unclear.
Hi, I'm Allison. I'm working as a pastry chef, even though I'm really sick and tired. So that is why you can't see my crusty face, because you know what? I'm trying to protect someone, if not myself. So I started off my day by cubing up, I don't even know how much bread this is, 50 quarts? That was all stale bread, by the way, that we used to make breadcrumbs. This, however, is not stale bread. That goes out to the customers. But back to the absurd amount of breadcrumbs, so I tossed them with some garlics and shallots, and then we pulverized them after baking them. Took a little quick break and ate some family meal. This was japchae, kimchi, and some Korean fried chicken. And yeah, for the most part afterwards, I just did all of the dessert orders as they came into the kitchen. This is an order for a almond cake, and this is me struggling to make the quenelle of it. Still practicing those. And then to close the kitchen, I just scrubbed down some tables, cleaned up, and then went home. Still trying to get used to these long school work days.
Come to work with me as a pastry chef, running late as always because I actually went to class for once this morning. Anyways, started off my day with some prep work. I made some breadcrumbs. Look at this ginormous tub because we had so much leftover bread. Then I started processing some citrus and some pears that we were using for service. These are going to be roasted in the oven and they're going to top the honey semifreddo. Next, I made some bread for service. We bake our bread fresh every day. And I shaped the dough and put them into the little cast irons, aka shaping and tightening balls. Next, we move on to the actual service part of the evening. So I was warming up bread, bringing it up. Here are some cakes from the night as well. Then I plated a ton of other desserts as the night went on, such as some ice cream dishes. And I wrapped up for the night, stole a piece of pizza, and went home and did a lot of homework. Today was a very special day working as a pastry chef because I got to make something really, really special, but first I had to do all of my other prep work. So I started off the day by making this olive oil orange cake that we use for service. We blend whole orange peels and then I stuck that in the oven. I'm not gonna lie, I really struggled to not eat all the scrap pieces of this cake. It's so good. Now I know you may be thinking that these macarons look horrendous. It's true, but we are actually test baking some flavors right now. I'll let you know what these green ones are once they dry. In the meantime, I was helping out with bread service, so I was egg washing all of these proved loaves and also rolling out some more dough balls. Then I was working on this really cool recipe of apple curd, so I was juicing all of these fresh apples and then whisking it over the stove, kind of like a lemon curd, but with an apple-y flavor. The savory side of the kitchen today was making this carrot juice carbonara, which was incredible. And so then after I had a little nibble, I packed up the macarons. Literally, could anyone guess that these are shiso flavored? And then I cleaned up and went home, so grateful for all the cool things that I get to see every day. Today was a very doughy day in my life, working as a pastry cook though. Started off by waking up in the morning at some ungodly hour and then doing some more work. Look at all of the fun drinks that I have lined up. Anyways, after I did a bit of schoolwork, it was time to go to work, and then I started working on the dough balls. So we roll out all the dough just before service starts so that way you get the freshest bread possible. So I made some burger buns as well as the little cast iron versions that we use for service. After those went in the oven, I started on by making another batch of that same same dough recipe because we needed it for tomorrow and we were running short. So I told you today is very doughy indeed and very, very sticky because the hydration of this dough is pretty high. And so I was kind of struggling with that a little bit. Afterwards, I got started portioning out the focaccia. I kind of forgot to film that part, but I did film myself pouring all the olive oil on the trays. So each tray gets a little bit of olive oil so that way the dough essentially fries in it, and that's what makes focaccia so yummy and tasty. And shout out to Dobie, who was using leftover pork mince to make this amazing dumplings with like chili oil sauce. So that was my tasty dinner snack. Normally I try to show the really interesting things we did at work, but so here's me making some buckwheat. Then I spilled that in the walk-in freezer, so I had to make more buckwheat. That was really awkward, kind of the L for the day if you ask me. But once I scraped that up off the deep freezer floor, we just move on to service. So I was piping out some butter, serving up bread and cast irons, and then I went home for the day.
Hi. Day in my life working as a pastry chef.
Okay, after watching back this vlog, I think I realized how I got so deathly ill because the life you are witnessing is me just a few days before the storm. Yeah, so before work, I woke up at like 6 a.m., tried to do work, hated my life, ate chicken, and then did more work right before my shift. And clearly I was not the happiest of campers, but you know what did make me happy? This side quest. I was tasked with making potato salad. So I made Japanese-style potato salad to go along with the rest of the barbecue-themed family meal. It was fantastic. But I think the point of this vlog is that there's something to be said about balance. Listen, I'm clearly all for working hard to do the things that I love to do while also trying to balance school and other priorities, but you genuinely can't do it all, and sacrifices have to be made. If not to your school or work, then to your literal health. I was on my deathbed for about 5 days, but hopefully no more because we're getting better, and hopefully my approach to life will get better too.
This vlog is for haters, not lovers. Welcome to what I did as a pastry chef on Valentine's Day, because what screams like love more than a discrete mathematics exam? So I decided to get ready for the day because, you know, I guess looking put together will make me do better on my exam. Maybe it added an extra 5 points to my grade. I don't know, but I don't think I can confidently say that I got above a 50. But we move forward, even though math doesn't like me, maybe coffee does. So afterwards, I went to work because a lot of couples are splurging on a good old Valentine's Day dinner, so I had to prep for that. So I started off by making a tropical budino for service. So this is a coconut cream at the bottom with like coriander and toasted rice and kaffir lime. It's really awesome. Here it is being plated up right now with some passion fruit. Here's a little quick video of the ice cream. This is pistachio with a ruby chocolate shell, as well as the chocolate molten lava cake with olive oil ice cream and buckwheat. Honestly, preparing all this food made me so salty because no one's ever going to take me out to some place like this. So to cope with being forever alone, I tried to make a heart-shaped pizza and then I went home. Day in my life working as a pastry chef. Aren't you guys so proud that I actually got 8 hours of sleep? JK, that's about to change real soon. There's a little something called final season that's going to kick my ass, but before it does, we're just gonna make some creme brulee and vibe a little bit in the kitchen. Anyways, I started off my shift by making some creme brulee, or at least baking the leftover batter that we had. You gotta torch the top, and then now I'm taking them out of the hot water bath. We sprinkle some black powdery stuff on top, and these are grains of paradise. They have a citrusy flavor, and it's a spice, and then we top them with blood orange segments, which I'm doing right here. Next, I move on to my favorite thing in the world, balls, because you really got to shape them and, you know, tuck them in to make sure they're nice and tight so they don't split in the oven. And I mean, come on, just look at all of my jiggly balls. Next, I make some ice cream base. So this is basically a custard or creme anglaise. So we got some milk, and this flavor is pistachio, so that's why it's a little bit nuclear green. You guys should honestly call me the Dairy Queen because I think I make at least one batch of ice cream every time I'm here. But I am lactose intolerant as hell though, so I don't really know how that works, but what I do know works is this burnt honey caramel. It is so good. And then finally, to end the night in terms of cooking, I just egg washed these proved loaves and then popped them in the oven. Oh my gosh, and here is my janky looking baguette thing with the leftover dough. That did not turn out the way it was supposed to. Anyways, here are the burger buns that I made earlier, and now that they're cool, I'm just going to wrap them up so we can use them tomorrow. I cleaned up the kitchen a little bit, and then I stole a pizza as my reward for making it through the day. Hi, welcome to a day in my life working at the restaurant. I woke up a little bit earlier than when my shift started because I had to do this terrifying thing called schoolwork because I have this even scarier thing called finals that is quickly approaching. You know what isn't terrifying? Playing with bread dough. So I spent the morning rolling out and portioning out these little dough balls and then shaping them into burger buns. Once they were proved, I'm putting on egg wash and then sprinkling on some sesame seeds for garnish. I did a lot of other bread related things today, but yeah, hands down the bread is probably the best part of this entire restaurant. Always get get the bread. It's so fresh. Look, my hands are making it. So once I scraped down the bench and cleaned up a little bit, obviously I'm a mess and I spilled on the floor, but then I had a little barbecue chicken pizza lunch break. Made some ice cream, as you can see here. This is pistachio flavored. Once again, always cleaning as you go. These clips here I think are just to show you how long I spent today, like portioning out pasta noodles for service, because yes, while we do really amazing and cool things, there are obviously also a lot of organizational tasks. Finished off the day by making carrot curd and then sleeping. Hi, welcome back to my final day working as a pastry cook. This was unfortunately my last shift because I am no longer working here. I have finished my finals, the semester is now over, so I have moved back home to New York State. But here are some of the things that I got up to today. We are starting off by making pizza dough in the large stand dough mixer. It's always super satisfying to measure out giant amounts of these ingredients, including our sourdough starter, and then mixing it all together. Someone on the team has to make a batch of this, like basically every day, because we go through so much of it because it is so delicious. These are me blending up some lemon and lime peels. We're gonna make some marmalade so that way none of our fruit goes to waste. Speaking of pizza, this was on the line before our dinner service. We had this amazing cauliflower curry pizza and as well as some donuts that they were R&Ding for the new brunch service that's starting. Everything is super and tasty and delicious as always. I loved learning so much from this kitchen over the course of the semester, and I'm so excited to share more of the knowledge that I learned throughout the course of my videos. Here are the rest of the cakes that I made for tonight, and then yeah, I just turned in my apron and went home for the last time.